I'm Kathy Schaefer, and this is Parents Corner on AACPS TV. Each month we talk about a topic of interest to parents like us. This month we focus on students and screen time safety. With summer break upon us, most students enjoy an increase in their daily leisure time. Too often, though, this free time equals more screen time. While some screen time use is obviously part of today's digital age adolescence, parents need to stay aware of safety and usage guidelines. Where can parents look to help navigate summer screen time? We spoke with AACPS school psychologist, Dr. Kate Howlett, for advice. So hi, Dr. Howlett. Thank you for being here today. Can you tell us a little bit about your role with AACPS?
Sure. I'm a school psychologist. I've been working in Anne Arundel County for 12 years. Right now I work in a middle school, but I have also worked in the elementary school setting. And in my role, I work with students, families, school staff to really try to promote healthy social, emotional, behavioral, academic development for students.
Great. And today we're going to talk about screen time. So do you have any general screen time guidelines for school-age children?
I do. The American Academy of Pediatrics would say that children 3 to 18 should be spending no more than 2 hours on screen time. And I know that our students are often spending much more than 2 hours on screen time each day.
Yeah. And what are some of the problems associated when kids are spending too much time on screen time?
Screen time is a great thing to a certain degree, and that's something to keep in mind. It's really, I like the phrase cyber balance. It's really important to make sure that kids are not missing out on any of the other healthy developmental activities, that screen time is not to the excess of spending time with family, spending time with friends, physical activity, homework, sleep, all of those other important things. But some of the negative associations for too much screen time would be problems with sleep regulation, obesity, problems with academics, problems with attention, and problems with social relationships. And then all of the things that we think about with regard to internet safety, like the risky behaviors that go along with cyberbullying or sexting or being victim to predators on the internet. Those are all concerns.
And just to define screen time, we're talking anything obviously that has a screen, so television, computers, handheld devices, cell phones, so all of that counts together.
Anytime you're looking at a screen, whether it's for educational purposes or for recreational purposes, all of that counts towards that screen time limit.
Now, because kids today are spending so much time on screen time in school through computer classes and working on the Chromebooks, does the time that they're spending on screens at home count the same as it does in school, and how does that combine towards that total 2 hours?
Right. The American Academy of Pediatrics, again, would say that all of that counts, whether it's your time in school or the time that you're spending at home. Now, as a parent myself, you can't realistically know how much time your kids necessarily are spending in the educational activities using screens in the school building, so you're kind of making an educated guess about that. But I can tell you in the middle school setting, a lot of the time that kids are spending looking at screens is not for educational purposes. It's texting at school or looking at Facebook or accessing apps. So that you can put some limits on as far as what they're allowed to access during the school day. Is it only the educational material that's being presented by the school?
And if you had any questions for your particular student on how much time they were spending in school, is that something that you could email the teachers and ask them?
You could email the teachers and ask them about that, what kinds of, because on a day-to-day basis it's going to vary. They're not using the same types of technologies every day for the same purposes. But yeah, you could ask your teachers, your students' teachers about it to get more information.
Okay. And did you have any overall advice for parents in today's digital age?
I do. Actually, I have a lot of advice. First of all, as a parent myself, I feel like it's a tough thing. It's, there are great benefits for connectedness and learning, and even my kindergartner really wants to access screens and technology. So I see the plus side of it and think like, wow, what great opportunities there are. You want to make sure your child is able to access those opportunities. On the flip side, what a challenge and what a big undertaking as far as management of your child's screen time, which I don't think any of us, when we embarked on that parenting journey, thought like, oh yeah, some screen time, that's going to be something I'm going to spend a lot of time in. But it really is a worthwhile endeavor as a parent for you to be familiar with what are the current issues out there, what is the lingo that's being used by students, what are the concerns, and specifically, what is my child using? And it's a big, big job. You need to be talking with your kids about internet safety. And that doesn't mean one conversation one time. It means that that's part of what you're talking to your student about repeatedly. That's something you talk about. You're setting limits as far as this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And unfortunately, setting limits also means you're monitoring. What is your student doing? I would recommend that you are setting some areas in your home that are screen-free areas. Like some people would say that screen-free meal times are really important, that you're charging all of your devices in a common high-traffic area of your home so that you're not having kids use their screens in their bedrooms where you're not able to supervise. Because remember, screens aren't just TVs, they're also the cell phones, the laptops, the tablets, those portable devices. And I think something that I work on every day as a parent is what am I modeling as far as screens are concerned? Am I modeling screen-free vehicular use and meal times and all of that stuff? You know, kids are watching what you're doing.
Yeah, what example we're setting if every time you turn around you pick up your phone and you're checking your emails. You know, it's distracting, and that gives the child some format that that's okay behavior.
That's normal behavior, and I think it is really normal behavior for our society. So really trying to set up expectations about, you know, what are your rights as a screen user, but what are your responsibilities as a screen user? What expectations do we have as a family with regard to what you can use, when you can use it, how much can you use it, even like making sure that kids are using accessing high quality websites. Are you just looking at the screen for no reason, or, you know, are you really a critical assessor of what you're going to spend time looking at? And there's a lot of great websites. Like Common Sense Media is a really good website for, as a parent, if you want to look and see about apps or digital media or television programs that, you know, is this good for my student at this age?
And that gives me an idea. That would be something that as a family it would be good to sit down and discuss, sort of a ScreenTime Summit, and involve your children potentially in that discussion about how much screen time and what sites are appropriate and things like that, so that they feel a sense of ownership over that, but that they also understand the guidelines for usage.
Right. I love the name ScreenTime Summit. I think that's a really catchy name. But definitely you should be talking with your kids about it. And if you look online, there's a lot of really good examples of kind of family screen time contracts that go through like what are our expectations that you could, you know, change up for what the age of your child and what your expectations are. I know in my family, my husband, who works with screens, has a different belief system than I do about screens. So finding out for our family in our Screen Time Summit what makes sense, I think, is a great idea. And helping your kids to know, like, this is something that we talk about. This is an issue for our family. We're going to watch together. I'm going to be checking what you're looking at. And that's okay. That's a part of the expectation.
Well, and I think it's good also, too, because then the children can articulate how they feel about their parents on screen time also, because I have heard a lot of kids get upset because the parents are distracted, checking their phones and computers and things like that. So it also keeps the parents in line and sort of in check on the flip side.
And there's a lot of good research that would show that families who talk about screen time usage and internet safety and all of those types of topics, that the kids then make more responsible choices. That if that is an issue that you're discussing in your family and your children are learning to be good media users, it does make a difference for the choices that they make online.
What about a parent who, because there are some parents who just emphatically say no screen time at home, but that seems a little challenging in today's environment. Are there any ways for a parent who wants to support technology-based screen time learning while also being sensitive to just general screen time limits? How do they navigate that process?
There are a lot of wonderful resources online, and Anne Arundel County Public Schools does have the Office of Instructional Technology, and their website does have a lot of good resources for parents with regard to recommended and approved kind of educational sites. I would say it's going to be very difficult to really enforce a 100% no screen time, particularly because as kids get into adolescence and even really pre-adolescence, a lot of important social experiences do occur online, which isn't to say you shouldn't also be making sure that kids have that face-to-face social contact, but your kid is going to be missing out on what is really some pretty socially normative types of things that are going on with kids.
Well, speaking about moving into adolescence, how do we talk to our kids about things that come with adolescent screen time, like maybe cyberbullying or some of the concerns that happen when teens move to social media?
I think that you even need to be talking about that before your kids get to adolescence, because in the middle school where I'm working, kids are starting at age 11 and they are accessing social media all the time. It's really very common. So I think you want to be talking to your kids about it before you're even getting to the point where they're making some maybe more adolescent types of choices. But again, I would say discussion with your kids, open discussion right from the beginning is really important. NetSmarts is an excellent website as far as having discussion questions for parents on a host of different screen time topics like sexting, cyberbullying, internet safety, online predators. They have some really great discussion starters for you to have with your kids. And again, it's not one time. You're going to be talking about this on and on, but you need to be teaching your kids directly, explicitly about safe behaviors online. And what does that mean? That means you never share your password. You never post personal information. You never, ever, ever go to meet somebody that you have only met online that your parents don't know about. And then sort of for the cyberbullying, you don't comment and respond to negative comments from other people. It's even really about teaching them, what do you do as a bystander? You don't want to make somebody look bad. What are good manners on the internet? What does that look like? I mean, we teach our children what are good manners in the store and at the dinner table, but you also have to teach them, what are responsible behaviors online as they relate to cyberbullying and internet safety and predators.
It just sounds like having open discussions, ongoing open discussions, because so much of technology has changed since we were young, and there are things out there that parents may not even be aware of. So I think internet safety is such an important discussion to keep having with them.
And I think it is a responsibility as a parent too, because I could tell you today, stay away from these apps. These are really dangerous and ill-advised apps. But then tomorrow, it could be something different. It's a rapidly changing environment. And as a parent, you need to make sure that you're aware what's going on. What are some of the concerns? I mean, people have probably now really heard about Kik and Tinder. Those are apps that you would not be, wanting your kids to use. But more recently, I went to a presentation where they were talking about apps that are designed to hide information from parents. So they're deceptive apps where it appears one thing, like it appears a calculator, but really that's where kids are able to stash away pictures and videos and content that they don't want their parents to see. So to the untrained eye, that just looks like a regular old calculator. So really making sure that you personally as a parent are talking to other parents, doing searches about what's out there so that and using these things firsthand. You need to show your kids, I know how to use it, and if I don't, I'm going to learn how to use it, because your safety is that important to me that I'm going to stay on the ball with this, which is hard.
Yeah, we teach them how to cross the street safely. Let's teach them how to use the internet safely.
Right.
Yeah. For children who may not have access to technology at home in the county, are there opportunities for them so that they don't fall behind?
Certainly at your public libraries, you can access, tablets, laptop in a timed sort of manner. I tried to find out through Anne Arundel County what some opportunities would be, and was really repeatedly directed to the public libraries as being. And then obviously schools have the computer labs and kids have access to them. I know in my school there's help day after school, so kids could work with a teacher in a somewhat supervised capacity if they needed to, if they were researching a paper or they needed to do something where they wanted to access some technologies for educational purposes.
Great. And one would think if that's something that parents at a particular school wanted to see more of, they could approach their particular school and talk about that.
I mean, schools do really have access to a lot of technologies if you think about Chromebooks and tablets and computer labs. Students who needed to access those things for the purposes of their academic work certainly would be able to do so at school.
Great. Well, such good advice, especially with summer coming up and kids spending a little more time on screen. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm Kathy Schaefer, and this was Parents Corner. Email us at parentscornertv@gmail.com with feedback or dates for upcoming events at your school. And like our Facebook page to stay up to date on show topics. Thanks for watching.